Hi students, how are you? So we were discussing about the principles of prevention and how can we prevent diseases? There are two ways, general way and specific way. And in last class we were discussing about the general ways of prevention. And for that there are two principles, and the basic principle is the public hygiene, and the second basic principle is availability of proper and sufficient food for everyone. And today we can discuss about the specific ways of prevention. So we can discuss about the specific ways of prevention. And this method is related to a peculiar property of the immune system. So this specific way is related with our immune system. For example, now you can see that there is no smallpox anywhere in the world. It was caused by an eradicated virus that used to be contagious and often deadly. And naturally occurring smallpox was destroyed worldwide by 1980. So before that, it was a serious disease. On an average, 3 out of 10 people who got it died. Those who survived were usually left with scars which were sometimes severe. And there was no medicine for this disease. In such an epidemic, people used to be very afraid of coming near someone suffering from the disease, since they were afraid of catching the disease. And if anybody in the family was affected by the disease, the other members, they were afraid because the disease will spread to them also. So what do the other members do? They used to get the affected person out of their home and send them to forest or somewhere else, because everybody was afraid of catching the disease. There was no medicine, so they were afraid. If they were affected, mostly they will die. So everybody was afraid of the disease. So it was an infectious disease. It was spreading very fast from one person to another also. So, but there was one group of people who did not have this fear. This was a group of people who had smallpox earlier and survived it, although with a lot of scarring. So those people who were affected by the disease once, they were not affected by the disease second time. So those who survived the disease, they were not afraid of the disease, because the disease was not affecting those people next time or again. That means if one has smallpox once, then there is no chance of suffering from it again. So having the disease once was a means of preventing next attacks of the same disease. Now what is the reason why person who is affected once by the disease is not affected again? Why some diseases are not affecting us again? This is because of our immunity system. So when a disease causing microbe enters our body, our immunity system produces antibodies to fight against the microbe. So during the first attack, our immunity system will take some time to produce correct antibodies against the microbes, and within that time they will enter our body and cause diseases. So first time when the microbes enter into our body will take some time to produce the antibodies. They want to identify the microbe and produce the correct antibodies. So they will take some time, and within that time what happens? The microbes will enter the body and cause the disease. But next time when that particular microbe or its close relatives enter our body, our immunity system remember them and responds with greater vigor. And this eliminates the infection even more quickly than the first time. So our body remembers how to fight against the microbe if it enters again. Okay, so first time these microorganisms will defeat our immunity system and enter our body. And during that time, antibodies will be produced in our body, and that will remain in our body. And the second time when the same microbe enters, already antibodies are ready in our body and our immunity system identifies the microbes very easily. And when the second time these microorganisms enter our body, our antibodies will act against them and don't allow the microbes to enter our body and cause the disease. So we will not be affected by the same disease second time. And dear students, this is the basis of the principle of immunization. Now we can look how a vaccine works in our body. So for that, dead or weakened microbes are injected in a healthy body. So when dead and weakened microbes are injected in a body, what happens? Our body will fight against it and kill them by producing suitable antibodies. Because they are dead or weakened microbes. So our body, no problem, our body will fight and kill them by producing some antibodies. But if we are injecting healthy microbes, what happens? They may defeat our immune system and cause diseases. So instead of that, we can inject some dead or weakened microbes that cause diseases into our healthy body. So we are injecting microorganisms that cause diseases, not healthy microorganisms, dead or weakened microorganisms that are not able to cause disease in our body. So we are injecting them into our body. So they will not cause disease. But at the same time, what happens? Our body will produce some antibodies against these weakened microorganisms. Now, as a general principle, we can fool our immunity system. That is, we can inject a weak microbe or something that mimics the microbe into our body. Then this won't cause disease in our body, but at the same time, our body will produce antibodies against it and we won't be affected by the disease again. This is how a vaccine works. So during vaccination, dead or weakened microbes are injected into a healthy body. Then the body will fight and kill them by producing suitable antibodies. And these antibodies remain in the body and we are protected from the disease causing microbes. So when we are injecting weakened microbes, they will not cause any disease in our body, but at the same time, our body will produce some antibodies against that microorganism. So at another time, if any microorganism enter into our body, these antibodies will act against them and prevent us from the attack of these microorganisms. That means if these vaccines are injected in our body, we will not be affected by that diseases. So nowadays there are so many vaccines are there against so many diseases. So many vaccines are now available for preventing a whole range of infectious diseases and provide a disease-specific means of prevention. There are vaccines against tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, measles, polio, and many others. These form the public health program of childhood immunization for preventing infectious diseases. Such a program can be useful only if such health measures are available to all children. It is essential to protect all children against these diseases. Necessary vaccines are available in the nearby hospitals. So you might have seen the advertisement on TV and newspapers regarding the protection of children against polio under the Pulse Polio program and all. And polio vaccine is given as oral drops. That is also a vaccine. You can see that a worldwide campaign against smallpox has finally led to its eradication from most parts of the world. So, giving vaccination is very, very important to eradicate diseases from the world. And some of the vaccinations given to the children are one is BCG. BCG, that is against the disease TB or tuberculosis, and it is given within few days after the birth of the child. Then DTP is given in different doses, that is against the disease diphtheria, tetanus and pertussis or whooping cough. It is given in different doses. Then we can see MMR, that is against the disease measles, mumps and rubella. And you know, polio oral vaccine is given against poliomyelitis. Like that, so many vaccinations are given to the children at different ages during their lifetime. Okay. And some hepatitis viruses which cause jaundice are transmitted through water. So hepatitis viruses are transmitted through water. And there is a vaccine for hepatitis A. But the majority of children in many parts of India are already immune to hepatitis A by the time they are 5 years old. So there is vaccination for hepatitis A, but it is not necessary for most of the children. Majority of the children in India are immune to the disease by the time they are 5 years old. So how they become immune or how they develop immunity against this hepatitis A? This is because the virus of hepatitis A spread through contaminated water. And there are many children below the age of 5 who get infected to this disease through the polluted water. So most of the children will be infected by the disease before 5 years itself through polluted water. And the infection of this disease is mild during the early stages of life, that is in childhood. So what happens if they are infected by the disease in childhood? In childhood, this disease is very mild. It is not a serious disease. It is a mild disease. So no problem. But at that time what happens? Body will develop antibodies against this disease. So they are already immune to the disease when they are infected by the disease during their early childhood. So next time when they are infected, their antibodies will act against that and they will not be affected. So there is no need for these children to get the vaccination against hepatitis A. Okay, so is it clear? So why the majority of children in many parts of India are already immune to hepatitis A by the time they are 5 years old? Because it spread through contaminated water. So the infection of the disease is mild during early stages of life, that is in the childhood, and they develop antibodies for this disease. As a result, majority of children in many parts of India are already immune to the disease. Okay, so there is no need of giving vaccination against hepatitis A for majority of the children in India because they are already immune to the disease before they are 5 years old itself. Okay, clear now? So we were discussing about the principles of prevention. There are two ways. One is general way and the second one is specific way. General way is what? Maintaining public health and availability of proper and nutritious rich food. And in specific way, it is related to the immunity of our body, and we can give vaccinations against so many diseases so that we won't be affected by that diseases. Clear? So giving vaccination is very, very important. Okay, clear now? So our 13th lesson is over. Bye.